Welcome back to the Win with Dice podcast, a podcast featuring members of the Win with Dice team. I'm Calvin, and I'm joined here by Ramon.
Hey guys, hope you're having a good Wednesday. Yeah, I don't know.
It's there any episode holidays this week? I don't know.
I don't think so, but it's definitely October. Years flying by.
Yes, the spookiest month of the year. We should probably do. I don't know if we should do a Halloween thing.
Ghosts and ghouls, yes. Maybe.
I'll stream some scary games.
Yeah, maybe we'll change the podcast background music to like a spooky podcast background music for themed events. Oh, maybe that would be good.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, guys. Well, hey guys, this is the Win with Dice podcast, a podcast all about tabletop RPGs, running them, playing them. We're me and Calvin, and possibly some guests. Guests come on, and where we talk about our games that we're playing in and are running, so you can learn a bit, and maybe we can show you that the other side of the screen isn't so bad, and it's a lot easier than you think. That's the show.
That is the unique selling point of the show. We take a super casual approach to hopefully make something that seems complicated feel a lot more approachable. In that interest, let's start off with the most important part of the show, the Win with Dice weekly GM tip of the week.
Yes, the Win with Dice weekly GM tip of the week. I brought to you by Ramon this week.
As it is most weeks.
As it is most weeks. Yes. As I wring my brain out for you folks and dispense all of my knowledge till I'm dry and there's nothing left. That's what this section's about.
So what do you have for us on this 64th twist of the sponge?
Oh my god. Well, I kind of want to go over some enemy NPC archetypes, I guess. Or like you could just say like NPC archetypes actually, because you can just, if they're on your side on your team or whatever, they kind of fall in that range too anyway. And this is kind of like I just grabbed a list off of I think 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons had a pretty good they actually used like this is a archer, this is a blocker as like in their monster I guess tags or like setup. So it's like if you wanted to have a balanced encounter, you use like a little bit of everything like that. But that's the thing I'm trying to get at. It's like you want to kind of use different archetypes of NPCs to really kind of challenge your players. If you keep kind of spamming like the one goblin, like it gets kind of boring when you're fighting like 5 of the same dude.
Yeah, I've definitely done that.
Yeah, I mean definitely in those kind of organizational bad guys like goblins or like orcs or something like that, those things that just have like a culture and isn't really just like a like a demon or like a bear for instance, right? You could definitely usually games give you like a range of like, okay, this is the spellcaster goblin, or like this is the goblin leader, right? So it's kind of just like in those cases you can use that, but also you can have like bringing some like allied monsters, like let's say your goblins now have like wolves, which are just faster and strike harder, but maybe they get hit a little bit easier because they're much bigger than goblins. Or like the awesome ogre friend.
Yeah.
My favorite deployment is the big brute ogre dude who all the goblins just hang out with, and he hangs out with the goblins because they feed him, and when players show up and there's just like, oh, I find a bunch of goblins, and then all of a sudden it's Big Larry. It's like, Big Larry walks up and he's like, lol, you're so tiny, smush. Right? That kind of thing. So yeah, quick rundown. Archers are ranged attack duders that kind of sit in the back. Blockers are like dudes with high AC that like kind of gunk up and physically get in the way. Casters are like those dudes who cast spells, as you know. Adding like a little bit of a caster into your mix is pretty cool because it throws a lot of people off, because most things in like fantasy RPGs are like, I'm gonna stab you with my stabby sword or stick or something like that, right?
Or an arrow.
Or like bite you, right? But like as soon as you tell someone to make a save, everyone's like, whoa. like hold on here. Only we can do that. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, right. Leaders are monsters that are able to, buff allies, essentially. They just give out commands, and maybe they have like an aura or like an ability they get to be like, you just do better, right? And then you have your mooks or your minions, which are just like cannon fodder. They're like, usually have a small amount you have a small amount of HP, so you can throw a lot of them at the party because, and they're relatively easy to hit. So, you bonk one, they're gone, right?
Yeah.
They're just there to kind of, they're like the space filler, making sure the party aren't able to truly ignore them, but they still have to deal with them so like they don't get like attacked via weight of dice, but also, they're not that threatening where it's like, they have to put a lot of effort into landing a hit kind of deal.
Yeah,
they're
you
like
kind of like your like Mutants and Masterminds has minions, which are like they're very fragile, but you still gotta get them out of the way. Like they're not like they're the glass cannon kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
Depending on
totally. Like a
how
Lancer.
powerful they are,
Yeah, and Lancers also does that too, where like you could just take a mech template and just be like, you're a minion, so now you just have anything that hits you will take you down because for various reasons. I would say that there's like spoilers / controllers, which are like monsters who like put a bunch of debuffs like poison or like blinds people or stuff like that. So it messes with the players able to act optimally. And there's actually like a troop I guess class that I like to think of too. I often think of them as hobgoblins. Hobgoblins in Pathfinder 2e have like a troop identity where like if a hobgoblin is standing next to another hobgoblin, they're just better, right? Like all their stats go up, they're able to do stuff more often, and in that kind of context with troops, like the aid action is also really good because I did that a bunch as well. I remember when you guys were fighting a bunch of hobgoblins, instead of using weight of dice, I would just be like, I want to make this guy's attack like a +10 because there's 5 of his buddies are here. They're gonna gang up on you and bonk you in the head, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
and right, and then there's like wreckers, or I would say like wreckers or brutes, like usually things that are just kind of solo big monsters with they're easy to hit, but like they do so much damage that it's going to be like an arms race. Like, how can you take this thing down before it really messes you guys up, right?
Right.
Kind of deal. And then kind of going on more, there's like lurkers, which are like, I guess you could just be like a sniper or like some sort of like, in the shadows, like a ghost or something. Something can turn invisible, something they can like have a cool high check or something like that. Skirmishers were dudes who are really fast and are able to get towards your back lines. The skirmishers, honestly, is probably my favorite thing to use as like a DM. I love things that just go fast and you're just like, oh, I'm off here across the map and your wizard's dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me try and put it all together. So like if you have like the option to have like 4 NPCs or something like that, or enemies, you could have, a leader, an archer / like artillery person in the back, and then like you could also have like some mooks and then a blocker to help the archer stay alive, or like the leader. So it would be like the mooks up front, the blocker and the leader will take up that position, and then the archer would be at the back, maybe elevated, and you could have some cover or something, and that'd be a really interesting battle for your players to deal with. Give those, the archer will be pinging away at the people at the back, the blocker will be gunging up the like let's say like the fighter or something from getting to your leader, and your leader's making the mooks actually do something instead of just kind of getting walloped.
Yeah, so definitely like when you're making these things, like if you want to divide them into classes, or even if you like figure out a way to do that, like you just want to make sure your enemies are complementing each other, because that makes for more dynamic combats, because then your players have to adapt to those strategies, deciding who to target and who the most dangerous enemy is, and if it's really the person who does the most damage or the person who buffs the person who does the most damage.
Right. And again, a lot of those, I guess, like, intelligent enemies, like orcs and goblins and those kind of things, in their base kind of grunt profile, I guess, like your standard, this is a goblin. They also give them range attacks most of the time. Like they usually have like short bows or spears or something like that. So you can actually have those things like be dedicated. It's like, so instead of you just like having all of the 5 goblins you have rush up, you could have 3 goblins. You have 2 goblins rush up, taking the role of maybe like a mook or something like that to kind of block up, or like a troop or something like that. Have one goblin sneak around the back using its hide skills to be like your lurker, and then you have the other two at the back being your artillery, kind of supporting those two going up. So even in like the one, I guess, type of enemy, you can split them up into different roles, and as long as you kind of like, I guess, stick to the script, your players would be pretty impressed, because it's just like a bunch of goblins instead of just being swarmed, and then they don't have to do anything like move or adjust. They just kind of sit there and be like, stop, like, attack everybody. It can make a fight even more dynamic, and even having your NPCs like fall back to within range of the archers, so the players would have to move up, but they're not 100% there, and then the archers get to hit them a whole bunch, and then you go back in. It's like tons of cool things you can do within just trying to play. So just have all your dudes run up. you can do a lot.
Yeah, definitely. You want to mix things up. You want to have them be more like, I mean, the creatures, the monsters, whatever they are, they want to win too. So, they will have their own effective strategies, especially if it's an area they know. So, yeah, definitely they'll have some sort of thing figured out. I think that adds to the believability, and again mixes up the combat, because then it's like, well, who is more dangerous, the creature right in front of you, the one further away shooting arrows at you?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Which one do you deal with first? That's like a conversation your party gets to have, right? Who's gonna be able to get to the person in time before they did blow everybody up?
Exactly. Can you get through that wall in front? That kind of thing.
Yeah. I should say my second favorite is Wizards with Fireball, because I love throwing Fireball at the party, because everyone's like, they don't understand how powerful Fireball is all the time. Like,
I remember your Fireball, yeah.
Oh yeah, Fireball's so good.
Okay. Anything else you want to add to talking about enemy types?
No, I think that's good. There's definitely way. This is just like a short thing. I'm sure that every gaming system has like a guide to it. Someone better than me has written one. Definitely shout out to Celeste and their Lancer NPC guide. It definitely opened my eyes up to a lot of stuff. So, go find a Celeste out there that wrote an NPC guide to your game.
Yes. Hopefully one exists. Okay. That covers our Women Fight Weekly Gem Tip of the Week. We can get into the, I guess the main part of the show is going to be probably me recapping a session that I ran for my Pathfinder 2e Crown of Dragons campaign, which I hope people like hearing about. I know Ramon likes hearing about it, so that's my excuse for talking about it, because I like to talk about it.
I'm very excited.
I will say there is some stuff in this that I want to cover that I don't want the players to know about. So there is going to be a point, because I know some people who play in the campaign might listen to the podcast. So there's going to be a point where I say, okay, stop listening from this part, and I'm going to have to hope that you do. But I can talk about the first few parts of it first before we get into that.
All right, cool.
So yeah, we started off with, the last couple of sessions, which got split up by like a month break in between, which was kind of awkward, but it was us just dealing with this dungeon that I had, because I wanted to do like a quick dungeon crawl. So I was like, okay, let's use this dungeon. It's got a couple of floors, it's got a bunch of rooms, it's got enemies and traps. I can use the lighting tools. We can deal with because again, I was doing a bunch of the kobold mini plot line that I had, where they had to deal with that wyvern mini boss, and a lot of that was out in the open, big wide areas. Very you had a lot of space to move, so you had a lot of tactical options. There were some points where there was some elevation and things like that, but at the end of the day, it was just a very big open space, just kind of slightly decorated. I wanted something more small, compact. You had to really be tactical about where you wanted to position yourself, because the room is 5x3 and there's a bunch of stuff in the way. I didn't expect it to feel so extended, but that only happened because we had to take a month break in the middle. So pretty much last session, they finished off the dungeon, they finished off the big bad at the bottom of it. So the start of this was mostly just wrapping up that plot line and getting them their rewards. Which sort of involved them talking to the risen spirit of Leonos Carson, again, this local ancient hero who was buried in this tomb, his tomb was subsequently attacked by one of his former like a member of his adventuring party, who was then also attacked by the third member of the adventuring party, who had sort of pinned this person to a wall using this sonic spear, and then had simply left them there, and then they were there for 166 years, during which time they went through the process of dying and then rising as this undead revenant, but only recently was able to sort of summon enough strength to free themselves from their prison, which was basically just being stuck on a wall. But the players were able to sort of deal with them last session. So Carson appeared, and he was sort of speaking different. He was like just communicating what happened there and trying to communicate different information with them. And this was kind of a thing that I was dealing with. Was I was pre-writing some stuff, like some scene descriptions, like you can still hear the vibrating tone of the sonic spear as it sort of starts to slow down, or here's where, because there was an NPC that had been captured, so it's just like, this is where she is right now. Like I was just pre-writing a few things, and I had pre-written some stuff for Carson to say. And I was sort of torn between like writing out full sentences or just making notes of what he knows and then trying to communicate that to other people, or to the players rather. Because I think I ended up doing sort of something in the middle where I wrote down like the initial thing he would say, and then I wrote down notes of like, here's all the things he knows. And then I got to figure out how to communicate that. I don't even know if I really got across everything that I needed to. I think there's some stuff that I might have to find another way to get across, because there's some stuff that I feel like I missed or didn't make obvious or apparent. Some certain like names of items and things, but it was enough to get them on the next leg of that part of the quest, which I've kind of gotten into the habit of like dragging this party all over the map, but I don't know, I really like it. Not gonna lie.
You're playing ping pong with them. He's like, okay, you gotta go all the way across over there, and then you gotta go all the way back to the east, and you go all the way back north or whatever.
Yeah, literally.
Wow.
Because so Carson explained that this was something that I had gotten from the original adventure that I was basing this on, but then modified to fit the situation that I needed. But it was essentially, and also I kind of borrowed medallions a bit because that were very important in your campaign. But this is just a single one rather than a series of them. And this one was broken into 3 pieces and spread among the members of Carson's original adventuring party, because they had been.
Calvin,
yeah.
That could have just been 3 medallions. You know that, right?
It could have been. I just liked the idea of one that was broken to sort of symbolize this broken adventuring party, even though it was mostly like, for me personally, I think that was also how it was written in the book, but I don't know if they specified like any sort of symbolage, and if it was symbolic in any way. I just thought it was cool as a symbol of this broken adventuring party, but I don't know.
True.
I don't know if that really works for the players. I don't know if that's even apparent.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing they have 1/3 of the MacGuffin.
They sure do. Another MacGuffin, another mini quest for a part of the overall quest. So basically what they learned, and this was something that like I had written down notes of like, here's stuff that the players need to know, and this was one of them, which was like Carson still had his piece of the medallion, but the last member of his adventuring party, this elf, she, after killing the one who had tried to rob from his tomb, she had taken that guy's piece and her own, and she had gone and traveled up north to an area that was somewhat far away from where they are, because they have been traveling south specifically for something else. So that was one of the things, and yeah, like that was just something that I had written down. That's like a fact I have to get across, so let me make sure I mention that. They did seem a bit irritated. I was like, sorry guys, he doesn't have the thing here. But at the same time, I don't know, I like the wandering, so I'm trying to encourage that. I mean, they could always just like not do any of this and then just throw me for a total loop, but
Yeah, that's true, but I mean, I guess they're just having fun. They're like, okay, I guess we'll just go back up to the north and maybe touch base on a bunch of places that we've already been. I'm assuming that they figured out kind of like how to travel around town, like your map, like they have like their own routes set out, right? It's like, oh, we've traveled north before, right? We'll just backtrack through all these towns we've already been through.
Yeah, I think I might lower the DC for survival. Yep.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I guess because like they're planning the same route again. It's like you can actually have lots of opportunities of like seeing old NPCs again, being like, oh hey, it's been a while or whatever, right?
Oh, for sure.
That would be good for them too. Yeah.
For sure, there's definitely stuff to follow up on because there was a quest to bring back a portion of this ever-burning flame back to the town that Carson was from, and they were like, we don't have time for this, so they gave it to that NPC they rescued, so she can bring it back to the town, which is totally fine because that is something that person would care about, and then they can follow up on the results of that if they ever go back into that area. And I did also want to get to the other stuff that I had planned because I had other stuff planned in the other locations that I knew they were going to hit up. So I was like, that's fine. The NPCs can take care of this. But yeah, they were able to sort of rest outside the tomb, and then they started traveling on. I was curious though if you ever had to worry about something like that, like if you've ever pre-written dialogue for an NPC or.
No, I try not to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I usually try, and what I write is like what this person's about.
Yeah.
Right. It's like what they care about. It's like what they like, how they express themselves. It's like through power, through like snide comments, through like all that kind of stuff, and like maybe like what they know. Maybe if there's something specific, it's like this person specifically like hates this person's family or something, so I'll remember to bring up, like, put some digs into them, or this person really idolizes this god, so like, they'll all of their stuff might be like, oh, from the teachings of whatever, right? Like that kind of thing. Although it's like I try not to write dialogue like I'm reading off of it, although like I'm not that great of winging it as well. I'll often break up like my NPC dialogue from like actual in-character talking to like just like an information dump. I'll do back and forth a little bit, just to get the point across of like, so I make sure like, all the information that they need is said, but it's like they also get a little bit of character, right? Like I'll often just switch back and forth to get that interaction done. But yeah, it's tough. Although I do often, if like I'm planning a session in the week and there's gonna be like some heavy dialogue or something like that, I'll probably like walk around my house like just monologuing to myself about like
I get that. Like, I get that.
Like in the shower, you're like thinking like, what would this person say? Or let me get into their headspace, and it's just like, rah, rah, rah. Like I am the greatest, rah, 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 or something.
Yeah, I really want to do that with voices because I was struggling to do voices later in the session because I'm like winding through my small portfolio of voices that I know how to do or can do. I don't know if know-how is a good term there. But yeah, I think I was just thinking of more of like the older kind of adventures that I've read. And like some of them will have like, if players ask this specific question, here's this specific line, you can use it as a response. And some of it's enough that you can probably just like improvise on. But there have been occasions where I've seen like, if players ask this thing and this thing and this thing, here's the response that this person would give. And I didn't want to be so rigid in that. But at the same time, it was like, I know he's going to have to say something particular when he arises from his tube, so I wrote down that part, and then the rest of it was just like, here's a list of things he knows. I'll try to work those into conversation. Yeah,
right. Like you could definitely have like an idea of like what your NPC would say, kind of, right? Or like I like maybe like not even putting like full thing, just being like, this is what he would kind of say. It's like like maybe if they asked oh, like, why are you here? Obviously, he would just be like, I'm very angry. I got betrayed or something like that, right? Because man got stabbed on the wall by his friend. Right? And then you're like, oh, I have this third of the medallion. Do you have yours? And then you could be like, the man's still really mad at his friend for stabbing him to the wall. You could be like, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that bitch took it.
Oh, right? No, it was Carson who came back as a spirit. His buddy Faustino was the one who was stuck to the wall, And then Alavara, this elf, is the one who took the 2 parts of the medallion and then boogied off. But yeah, basically, it was basically that. Like, he was just saying,
right.
like, here's what went on. I was, like, enough of a spirit to see it, but not powerful enough to actually interact with him at the time. So he just kind of had to watch that whole thing.
Oh, I mean, yeah, and he could sound remorseful, maybe like, ah, damn, my friends, right?
Yeah,
Why we were
basically.
friends. Yeah, right. Like, I would just be like, he's remorseful that he wasn't. Like, I would be like, literally be like, Carson is remorseful that he couldn't stop his friends or whatever, couldn't stop his friends from fighting or something like that. And then it's like, when the people are like, did you see or whatever, you'd be like, I couldn't do anything about it, and just be like, sigh, right, or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, yeah, so that would kind of be it. Or like, I'll try to keep like what does this, like, whatever's happening like in the person's town or something, or like the court, be like, what do they think about it, and like what information do they actually know? And like often I'll also put down stuff that like NPCs should. I don't think NPCs should be like have like full knowledge of what exactly is going on. So I'll often just like not have them lie, but have them just tell their truth of the situation, right? Like, if you're a farm peasant NPC, you probably don't know every single wizard spell, right? You can't specifically say like, yes, he cast lightning bolts. You just be like, that dude shot lightning out of his hands or something like that. Or you don't really know what a hag is, so you just call it something else,
Yeah.
A lot of things are just haunted when there's probably just goblins. Right.
Yeah, I mean, that can be frustrating sometimes, because it's like, I want to tell the players more things, but this specific person you're talking to does not know all the things. They know what I'm telling you right now. I would love to tell you more, but this person doesn't know it, and I can't justify them knowing it.
Yeah, exactly, right. And I think that's good, because it'll be like, verisimilitude. Like that, the peasant would know way more what's going on in the surrounding areas in his town because he lives there. Versus like, I don't know, maybe the visiting knight from the kingdom, right? The guy knows what's going on in the kingdom, or like where the castle is, right? So he knows what's going on there. So there's like there should obviously be somebody in the world knows exactly the thing that you're asking, but it just depends if you know who they are and where to go find it, right?
Right.
I think that's totally plausible. And like, the secreter and more crazier the thing that they want to know, the harder and further away it is.
Yeah, there's definitely some stuff in my game world situation that's like more or less secretive than as it would be normally presented in like the default world settings. So but yeah, so they were able to rest inside the tomb. They got all sorts of new stuff. They spent like an hour identifying everything, which was fun. I gave them like a whole bunch of stuff. Some of it's just like random things. Some of it was like, oh, this will be cool. I hope they get some use out of it. I kind of didn't really lean much into like gold rewards, which I don't know if I should do more of. As much as I pretend to agonize over it, I don't mind like if they get rewarded something and then go sell it, like, because it could be something useful, or they could just sell it for gold to get something else later. That's fine by me. So they got a bunch of scrolls. They got a staff, they got some minor armor, things like that. And then, yeah, they were to start traveling on. So I did not have my new travel tables ready, so I kind of had to use my old ones. But that let me, initiate some certain interesting things. So, like, it would take a couple days of travel to get to the next biggest city. The first day, they ended up running into the remains of a cart ambush, which I think might have happened before. But in this situation, what it allowed me to do was, like the one they ran into before, it had been attacked by kobolds. This one, they could see it was a much more precise attack. It looked like the use of ranged weapons. They could see it was attacked by bandits. And because of the checks they had rolled, they were able to find that there was one person still alive from the ambush. Someone who was sort of like helping to guard the cart. And then they were giving this person a ride back to the next city over. And I was able to just help sort of set up the little bandit situation that's going on in this area. That, who knows, maybe they'll have to deal with more later. I mean, I knows, because I mentioned that the bandit gang was part of, like, way back when they were over in another area, They helped take out this gang leader who was in the middle of his own sort of heist situation.
Right.
And he happened to be the leader of this gang. And now that they're sort of leaderless, they're kind of like acting at random. Running around like chickens with their head cut off, just doing whatever they want with no real discernible direction.
Ah, okay.
So that's what's been going on in this area. And then the next day they came across just a random woodcutter, who I found a new site that has like a whole bunch of random generator stuff as well. Although this guy, I totally panned him ahead. He was always going to be there. They found this woodcutting half-orc, and he was able to cut their travel time in half. So they got to the city in half a day instead of arriving in the evening.
You know, you call him a woodcutter, so I was like, he cut his travel time in half by cutting down the forest.
I didn't plan out that pun, but you are right. I just gotta figure, like, he knows the area very well, so he's like, oh, I can show you a shortcut back to town. And then they were able to cut their travel time in half. And then, they arrived in the city of Vibrantis, which I don't even remember when I added this city. It's been around for a while. But this was sort of where I kind of imagine it being like as close to high tech as you can get in this semi-fantasy medieval setting.
Right.
It's basically where everything that's going to be in the Guns and Gears book that's coming out in however many weeks, that's where everything there is going to be coming from. It was very like high tech. There's a whole lot of metal work going on. Lots of complicated clockwork machinery decorating every building. Certainly the druid was in awe of all the use of metal because she's more used to the outdoorsy nature kind of thing.
Right.
They did some stuff in town, looking for a blacksmith, looking for a magic shop, looking for a place to get some clothing, to get some winter clothing. And I had to go through my range of NPC voices. I think I've done the gruff blacksmith a couple of times, but it was split pretty far apart, so I think the next blacksmith is going to have to be a bit more excitable than the last two have been. But the other shopkeepers were a bit more fun. There was at the clothing store, it had a logo of a hippogriff, and it was called Griff, but it had the Gap font.
Oh, cool.
Which, I don't know, I thought that was fun. And then they got into some other things. At this point, I'm going to have to ask the players to not listen to this part and probably skip to the outro, because I want to talk about some things.
Spoiler warning. Don't ruin it, folks.
I don't know. I don't want to spoil too much. I just might do a deeper dive into some things, and I don't want them to be, like, too obvious because they might come up later and stuff like that, So previously, whilst they were traveling, while they were able to stop this bandit leader, they weren't able to recover the actual item he had stolen in his heist. However, they did find it on the ship of Helen Highwater, because she's always getting into trouble. This golden box that was apparently a power source for something called an automaton, which they don't know what exactly that is. I'm sure the players themselves know what that means, but the in-game characters don't know exactly what that means.
Right.
So they recovered this box and they left a fake behind, which unfortunately those pirates rolled pretty low perception. So Helen got played. But they discovered this box and they discovered it belonged to an inventor by the name of Udius Aviar, who is this catfolk person who is very talented with inventing things, but a little scatterbrained, doesn't really have a head for business. So I had a whole other situation planned with this guy, but then something completely random happened. They recovered, when they had recovered Kaivan's tooth, I had given it to them as like this unique item, but they weren't really using it, so they wanted to sell it. And I was like, oh no, you want to sell that cool thing that I made? I was like, yeah, whatever, that's fine. Like, I was actually like, in my head, I was like, yeah, okay, I guess that's fair if they're not going to use it. I just got to figure out what kind of price it is. So they asked around. They were looking for someone who might be collecting that sort of thing. Because I had already mentioned, like, you might find some collectors of draconic items if you go to the larger cities in this particular region. And this was the point where things kind of went sideways a bit. because I randomly rolled up a person by the name of Korolos, who I had given the backstory of, and this was just sort of a sudden thing, but they were sort of like a rival inventor to Udius. And this person did not exist before they got here. They just were looking for a collector, and I was like, okay, maybe there's someone wealthy and prominent here. They might be a rival to this guy, and then things started snowballing. And I ended up making this whole backstory between him and Udius, which is sort of stolen from other media and also real life, where Udius was the inventor type, but Korolos was the more business-minded guy who kind of stabbed Udius in the back. Took a few designs, started his own company, and it sort of got larger, and he was able to hire more people to invent more things for him. And that just kind of happened on the fly. I wish I could say I had thought of it like from way before, but I super did not. But it let me do something interesting, which is it let me position Korolos as a guy who invents a whole lot of clockwork machinery, while Udius is working on like a more intelligent living automaton. So they went to Korolos, and they sold this wyvern tooth to him, which still had the lightning effect on it, so it could still give off some energy. And then Korolos did a couple of things. He asked them if they could get some info on Udius, if they could go spy on him for them, because Korolos knows that Udius is working on this automaton, but he doesn't know the full details about it, so he wanted to know more about it. So he asked the party if they could do that, giving them this side quest depending on who they want to choose to work with. But Korolos also showed them that he was working on a clockwork dragon, which is the thing I was going to give to Udius. But then they were in this guy's office, and I was looking for something for them to do, so I was like, maybe he's working on this. And I kind of threw it out there. And I kind of liked the way it ended up a bit better, if I'm being honest, because it let me set up Korolos as this guy who will have like these massive projects that he's doing, and it's clearly something dangerous, but he'll go for it anyway because there's a whole lot of profit in it. So yeah, he's building a robot dragon, why not? And now he has a wyvern's tooth that has lightning energy coursing through it. So,
yeah, but specifically like dragon lightning energy coursing through it.
Exactly.
It just seems to be like a cool setup for a electrifying dragon attack. Actually,
sure does, doesn't it?
Oh my god, that'd be awesome. It should be really funny if a little bit of the wyvern's, I guess, essence is it. Oh, Calvin, you could have him like take over the wyvern and just be like, I am a true dragon now, or like the mechanical dragon, but like, you know, he's like got the personality of that dude, so now he's like, oh shit, I'm actually like a real dragon now. I mean, real. Let's
just say it's been thought of.
Oh man. It sounds so good. That's like, oh my god, we're fighting the wyvern guy again. And now he's made out of metal. And it's like the Frieza. It's like when Frieza came back.
Like at this point, Korolos didn't even have like, I didn't know if that was his first or last name because I just got a random name. I was like going through, like they were asking somewhere they could sell this thing. I went to my list of, I have a list of names in my notes. And I was like, okay, this one looks good. That's his name. I apparently made it a last name to make him sound more businessy and official. But yeah, I don't know. It just was like an off-the-cuff kind of thing. And then I was like, this is way better than what I had planned before. Because then that means Udius can be working on something smaller. So they did eventually visit Udius, who also asked them, because he saw they were an adventuring party. So he was like, hey, if you find this golden box thing over in Avoxis, I know it's a far way to go. Avoxis being the like island nearby the mainland where they found the thing. Right. I know it's a far way to go, but if you could go there and see if they can recover this thing. Because of course he didn't know that they had it already. And he also showed off some firearms, which I just used descriptions from the playtest. I don't know if they're going to multi-class into Gunslinger at some point, then they can come back here. But it let me set up that. It was like, yeah, he worked with some dwarven mechanics and blacksmiths to make them, that sort of thing. Just to set that up until I get the book, and then I can actually flesh that out more.
Oh, cool, yeah. That'd be awesome.
And then, yeah, they sort of reconvened at an inn. And then they had, and this was a thing that I really enjoyed, they were debating over what to do, whose side to take, or even if they should destroy the thing, because the fighter wanted to stay out of it, the druid wasn't really into machines and thought the thing should be destroyed anyway because it seemed pretty powerful. The bard, he was like just for getting paid from this. He didn't really see either as evil. He just saw them as like, at most, one of them was being pretty greedy. The other was just sort of this loose inventor who was just going to do who's going to make whatever they wanted to make. The witch, they didn't want to just sell it to anyone because they wanted to be more cautious about what they do with it. And yeah, the party had this whole back and forth discussion, and I love those moments where I can sit back and I don't have to do anything. I don't have to contribute to the game going on. I can go and like update my notes and think of a first name for Corolos and figure out the relationship between him and Udius while they're discussing back and forth, like, what do we do with this thing? There was a suggestion that they just destroy the battery, or maybe they should just set fire to both laboratories, set fire to both of their places, and just let nature sort it out, I guess.
Let nature sort it out.
But at the end, they agreed to just not get involved any further. And yeah, I was pretty happy with how that all turned out, especially because it was like a last moment panic kind of thing. Like, they just need someone to sell stuff to. Okay, here's a guy. He does this thing. Oh, maybe he's also doing this. But why would he be doing this instead of that person doing it? And then, yeah, while they're talking, it's like, let me figure out their full relationship. I did have to like flim-flam some stuff when they were talking to Udius, which I kind of yanked from like... I mean, to be honest, I think I got it from Five Nights at Freddy's more so than anything. Although there was probably like more of a real life situation I could have related it to. But that was definitely part of the FNAF lore that just came to mind. Like, one person's the business guy and he went a bit bad. The other person's the inventor and he just got left in the dust. Not so much, I mean, it's a bit animatronic, but less children ghosts than there is in FNAF. At least for now.
Yeah. Oh man, Snap's scary. Oh, the children ghosts stink. Ugh.
But yeah, they did also suggest, some things that I think I might try to work into the actual story. Like when the player was like, oh, what if this is what happened? This is probably what happened, right? And then I'm like, that's not at all what happened, but it's a pretty good idea. I'm just going to make a note of that and see if I can make it work.
It's like, yeah, sure, now it is.
I don't know if I can make it work, but I just noted it down to see if I could figure it out, at least at some later point in time.
Nice. Well, I mean, I like the idea that, what's his name, Kaivanth?
Yeah.
How did I remember that name?
I don't know.
That was impressive. And apparently I really like this bad guy. So personally, I think it would be really funny if Kaivanth was like Kaivanth Reborn.
Yes.
He's just like a clockwork dragon now. But like it's kind of like slow, right? Like maybe if they ever come back, it's like they're unveiling the dragon, but the dragon's like, it's acting a little funny. It's not like following the strict programming or clockwork programming, right? It's getting a little weird. And then it's like, I am Kaivanth Reborn. And it's just like pretty funny.
That could be another awesome boss. Definitely, like that is a possibility that could happen. Because I can drop that in at any point in time at this point. And yeah, so they ended up resting at that inn. The next day, though, they found that they were being followed by a mysterious figure that had glowing tattoos. One person, the druid, was able to kind of fly and follow them, but they weren't able to grab them before this figure kind of disappeared into the sewers. But before they disappeared, the figure made this screeching noise. I didn't have a medieval fantasy way to describe it, but it sounded like dial-up internet.
That's weird.
It is weird. I think the players were able to guess what this person is, but their characters, and this was one of the things that was like their characters would have no idea what this is, but I think the players figured it out because they asked, "Hey, is it this language?" And it's like, "Yeah, I know you looked it up, you know what it is, but your character doesn't know what it is."
I think I know what it is. Now that you mentioned it, I just have to think about like what other thing that Calvin likes the most.
Yes. like I had this problem where I know I should focus on the main storyline, but my brain is like, what if I do 50,000 other things?
I was like, wait, they haven't even gotten the stupid Coronum part of the Draco Corona.
They haven't got a single piece of it yet. They found out because they were going to get the crown, and then there's 5 other gems, and they were going to Carson's tomb to search for leads on the crown, and then it was like, hey, you want to get the crown, you got to get 3 things, and then open a vault on this island. By the way, 2 of the 3 things are way over here.
Calvin, I think you're playing too much Skyrim, man. Like
it is, yeah, it really definitely influenced.
Skyrim is bleeding into your game.
I gotta, maybe I'll make a fast travel system.
Well, maybe if your players aren't up for going all the way to the north just to travel all the way back, the last I forget her name that you mentioned. The third, the last remaining
Alivara
party
Silent
member.
Water, yes.
Yeah, I'm assuming she's some sort of wizard.
Mayhaps. She is an elf who could possibly still be alive, and I definitely figured out her class, definitely.
It's true. Well, I mean, an elf being super duper old means they're super duper magical usually. So you should just have like whatever place she has like a teleport circle or something. Just be like, you guys did it. Take this fast travel point, but this is the only time you get it.
I actually do want to do that. Like, I want to have a teleportation network. I got to figure out like the price of it.
Well, it should be like the next arc after finally getting the Coronum.
Oh, I don't even know next arc. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, you could have a subplot where like I don't know, everyone's like there's a bunch of wizards out there trying to get a fast travel circle like thing going on so that you can like jump from major city to major city, but like maybe there's like they're being like stopped by like the cart guild because they don't want to break their cart monopoly on transportation.
Yeah, could be. I was also thinking of RuneScape. I don't know if they still exist, but it had like these fairy rings where you have to like find it and activate it, and there's a code you can put in or whatever, or like you go one place and then like if you know a code you can go to other places. I was thinking maybe something like that where if they visit the location, maybe they can find something there.
Yeah, I mean, you could have tons of options too. Like maybe like 2 mage colleges set up teleportation rings from their 2 points just so like, you know, their like headmasters or elites can go back and forth and share those resources, right?
Yeah.
But like maybe you could have another option where like there's all these series of fairy rings around the place, but like only like can be accessed by like the druids. So it's like, or like any sort of like nature-y side of person where it's like there's a chance for you to find one, right? Maybe you could add it to your encounter list actually, in your table. Be like, you find a fairy ring. So it's like, you know, and then eventually they might find a bunch of them, and then you could just be like, well, you found one, so now you can just teleport to the next one if you really wanted to.
Yeah, definitely. It could even be something where like you win favor with the Fae, they can help you out with that. Although yeah, I don't know if that's going to work out for them because a certain witch in there has been summoning Fae and then using Final Sacrifice quite a bit. So.
Well, you know, maybe it's just kind of difficult, and maybe it could be an option. Maybe the head fae or whoever at the place being like, "Go get that person. They're wanted for crimes against fairies." And then you could have this whole fairy court thing where it's just like, now they're like in front of the fairy king or queen or prince or whatever, and just be like, they're like, dude, you gotta stop.
Could you imagine the fairy court? It's like Phoenix Wright, but they're all like fairy size, and they gotta squeeze the party into this court building.
Yeah, and they're all everybody's just crouching or whatever, or like the tallest dude's just on the top.
Oh my god, I want that so badly.
Yeah, you should just have like a mini game. Maybe you could do like a, what's it called? Like a clock where it's like, did you defend yourself well? It's like based on a couple of interactions, you could be like, you're free, good job, or lol. Go to jail, directly to jail, don't pass go.
I really want to do that. Like, I don't want to stop this player from using that spell, but oh my god, it would be so hilarious if they had to go to fairy court.
You should just send him like a like a not like a cease and desist, but like just like you just send somebody to serve him. Like just be like I would put it on. I would just put it on the you could put so much stuff on your encounter table.
Yeah.
Where it's just like character specific plot stuff that could just be out in the world. Be like, oh yes, now it's, oh shoot, you rolled that. Looks like your crimes have caught up to you. The fairy court has summoned you.
Oh my gosh, I really want to do that. I gotta find some way. I'm gonna put that on the list, or I'm gonna find a location for it. I'm so gonna do this. Okay, I'm gonna put a timestamp here so the players know that they can come back in at this point. So yeah, I now that I've talked about all those things that hopefully they don't listen to. But yeah, so at this point they are just starting to travel to the next point on the map. We kind of ended the session before they started going. I asked like if they want to just time skip there or if they want to just save the travel for next time. They decided to save the travel for next time, so hopefully by next time my travel table is in a better place than where it is right now, because it's just kind of like a draft still right now, and then I can figure out how to put it into Foundry, because I started doing it and then I realized I was gonna have to do it like manually, which is gonna take me a whole lot of time. So hopefully there's a way to automate that sort of thing.
Cool. Yeah, maybe. I mean, there's probably somebody out there being like, this is the easiest way to do things in Foundry or whatever for this specific thing. For
sure. I'm not too worried about that. I just want to get it like, I want to write it down in my notes and then figure out how to get it into something else. Even so that all I have to do is like copy paste stuff. I want to have it written down first.
Nice.
I mean, I technically guess I could start building it in Foundry, but I'd rather have it in my notes where I can sort it out more and then make more notes on it, I guess. But yeah, that was sort of it for the session. The majority of it was like that one long day in the city where they did like a whole bunch of things to talk to a whole bunch of people and did a whole bunch of shopping and stuff, because it's been a while since we did a shopping episode. So
yeah, man, that's exactly how it goes. It's like, oh, you just defeat the boss, you got the loot from the thing, you just got paid, and then now you go shopping, and then you just rinse and repeat. And you're like, where's the next adventure? I gotta go buy more cool shit.
Exactly. I will say, one thing that I thought was going to be a problem was that I had to deal with, because the YouTube shut down the rhythm bot for Discord. I don't know if you heard this tragic news.
Yeah, I heard that.
But the bot that I use for my music, I just load it with a link to my YouTube playlists, because I spend so much time making these music playlists in YouTube instead of Spotify or something else. But I could just put it into this bot and I would just be like, play this playlist, here's my town music. And I'd gone through and I'd added things from like, oh, here's some stuff from RuneScape that I like, here's some other songs that I like, here's traveling music or forest music, and here's some things that I like. But now I can't use them anymore. But I did find another bot that's able to play stuff from YouTube, but I can't play playlists on it, so I have to get like those hour-long videos of just music. Fortunately, there's a bunch of them for Skyrim, so I just play like, here's the Skyrim travel playlist or Skyrim like town playlist, and then just put that in.
Okay. I mean, that's a little sad. I mean, that's like I don't know why YouTube did that, but
well, I imagine because it's like you don't hear ads when you use the bot, so they don't get anything from those plays. But at the same time, like,
that's true. That's true.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. I forgot about the ads. Yeah, you're right. That would be a big thing. But still, it's kind of like sucky because it's like, man, like I just wanted to. YouTube, you're such a powerful tool, but I guess you still have to pay people, so I get it. But like, damn it.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't know. It's kind of a pain, but at least I was able to find a solution. I'm also still working on their XP. I don't know if I'll probably have given it to them by the time this episode comes out, but I'm trying to figure out like how to give more XP for the RP stuff. Because they did a lot of RP stuff this session, and a lot of it was like very good, and I gave them hero points for it. And I just made a ruling that hero points will roll over to the next session, just because, I don't know, it's kind of silly that they don't, especially because I keep forgetting to give them out.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's fine. You can roll them over to the next session. I don't mind. Because they're basically just re-rolls. That's not too bad.
No, it's not. I think it's mostly just so people don't, like, you're not supposed to hoard them. You're supposed to just use them for like critical moments. I guess they just assume that people will just want to use them and don't have Skyrimitis, but like Skyrimitis is rampant.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's the default. The default is Skyrimitis. Like, I'm never gonna use this. I will keep as much of it as possible.
Skyrimitis has so many symptoms. But yeah, no, it's fine. I think it's okay if they roll over. Other games that like have hero points will kind of be like, you might use them more often, but for here it's totally fine. I'm not worried about it. Especially because like either you use it once for a reroll or you spend literally all of them to automatically recover from dying. So
yeah, that's true. I wish there was a little bit more you could do with hero points. I know that I homebrewed some stuff in my game, but yeah, it would be cool to be like, you can use this to like if you have an idea to be like, nah, I don't think so, like just like to use hero points to like change the narrative or something, or like, you know, something like that, or it's just like, you know, you can spend 10 hero points or something like that to just be like, you see this guy, he's not an enemy, he's actually an ally who's been undercover all this time. Or something kind of silly like that. Maybe 10 is too little to do something game breaking like that, but it would be kind of fun.
Yeah, it might depend on the example, because definitely Mutants and Masterminds, which I reference a lot, it does have the hero point system, and you can spend hero points to edit a scene. The main example they give you is like, oh, maybe if you're fighting like this plant-based villain in a greenhouse, you can spend a hero point to say that there is some weed killer there, if the GM hasn't already indicated that will be the case. But that's something that, like, logically it could be there, and you can use it against your opponent, so you can spend some of your resources to get that benefit, but it still fits the logic of the scene or the moment. Like, it's not plot breaking or lore breaking or game breaking.
Yeah, I like the idea that it's narratively impactful, right? Like, you can use them in a narrative scene where it's like, instead of it like you just get a reroll, or you don't die, it's like you're able to get a little bit of advantage. Maybe like you just happen to have an equipment, or it's like, oh, you actually know this esoteric piece of knowledge that like you wouldn't be able to know unless you did a whole bunch of role playing beforehand anyway, which you did to get all those hero points, right? Or whatever. So you're able to just be like, wait a minute, I remember this, and be like, hero point or whatever. So
yeah, I think I might borrow some of the things that hero points do in Mutants and Masterminds. Certainly the edit a scene thing. I might yoink a piece of that. There's other stuff that they do, like they help you immediately recover from a condition that I probably wouldn't take, just because conditions work very differently in the games. But definitely that kind of thing I might use.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be cool.
Or maybe I don't know. Because I was gonna say, because you can also use it to help. You can sort of use it to spend it on another action, but it doesn't work directly that way. It's like in Mutants and Masterminds, you can take an extra standard action on your turn, but it will make you fatigued. But you can use a hero point to immediately recover from being fatigued. So it basically translates out to you using a hero point for an extra action. But that might be a bit too game breaky between the two systems. So I don't know. Probably not everything that they do, but maybe at least the edit a scene kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably posit that like the more actions, the more crazier the thing is. It's like, if you want to use an extra move after, like, you get an extra action, but it can only be used for a move, and then you spend 2 of them or 3 of them, and then it's like, okay, after, like, you get an extra action only if you play, like, you can use it for whatever, like a move or a standard action or whatever, so you pay for 3 or 5 or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, because to me that would kind of take away from the use of the haste spell.
No, but it would be used in conjunction with it, right? So then all of a sudden, like, well, to be fair, that person who gained 5 hero points had to do a lot of cool shit to get 5 hero points, right?
True.
And I'm assuming that if they're hoarding 5 hero points, they're gonna have Skyrimitis and hold it again to the final boss. But then you have this like epic thing where it's like, well, dude, like, I might die. Let me use all my hero points now instead of just recovering. I can spend all 5 of them, get an extra action. Maybe the dude's hasted, and all of a sudden this dude's turn becomes like, now we're playing like God of War or something. You know.
Maybe I'll have to do some more work on it, figure it out. Maybe some other people have done it. I'll see if I can find something. I want to have them roll over. I think I might put a cap equal to the character level. That sounded pretty good to me when I was thinking about it. So
yeah, for sure. You could check out Matt Koval's team, like the MCDM. They put out a book, not the Kingdoms of Warfare. It's a second book, or maybe it is Kingdoms of Warfare. Yeah, it is Kingdoms of Warfare. The first one was Strongholds of Followers. So Kingdoms of Warfare has these, like, they have like I forget what they're called, but it's like teams. Like you could have a theme for your party, right? So it's like, instead of you being just like a bunch of random dudes, you're actually like a knight order, or like you're the nobility, or you work for the court of the nobility, or like you're a syndicate or something like that.
yeah.
And they have like basically like a team power pool or whatever, where it's like you get to put in some things to get some cool stuff happen, essentially.
That's cool.
There's probably like a wealth of ideas that you could probably figure out from there. Some of them are like, well, the thing where it's like you get to change, one, like an enemy who isn't the main bad guy is actually an ally in disguise or something like that. That's actually, I just ripped that from that book. It works a little differently than it just is, but like they have cool stuff like that in that book. So it's like it's plenty of stuff to be like, yes, I'll just take that.
True.
If you want to do it, you do have a lot of stuff going on in your game.
I do. There's also the follower actions. I don't know if I can maybe use some of those, because we use some of them in our other campaign. I don't know if I can maybe make some use of those. Maybe they cost a hero point to do a thing, or give another player a bonus or something. I don't know. I'll have to look into them. But I definitely want to do something else with hero points, more so than just re-rolls.
Yeah, make it fun. Just, give people more cool role-playing stuff, or like that could be a way for you to, instead of like working out like XP, trying to like force XP, like narrative XP, to be like more than it might be already laid out in the book. You could just award hero points, and then that could be like a way of helping the party out, right? Giving them reasons to try and role play as good as possible.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, they already do. I just want to, like, reward them for that more. That's why I haven't figured out their XP yet. Hopefully I will by the time this episode goes out. Because I just want to rework the system so that they get more stuff for that. Those moments where I can sit back and they talk amongst themselves. Because it's just super rewarding. That's why I like playing with this group. I love how into the game they are. I love when they talk amongst each other. I love when they debate ideas of what to do next. And it's clear that they have very different outlooks on what they should do, and different opinions on how they should act in a certain situation. And I love how excited they are when they level up, and what new abilities they get, or what new feats or what new spells, and they're sort of like talking about it with each other. It's just, I don't know. I really enjoy that group. I love how into the game they are. It's just so super rewarding every time. So, I kind of want to like match that energy.
Yeah, it's always good when your party or your players at the table are like, "This was fun. I can't wait to play again."
Yes. Yeah, like you like it's possible for people to just say that, but you can't fake that excitement, right? Like when you're just talking to another person just excited about like what spell they took or what feat they took, you can't fake that excitement. And yeah, I'm really grateful for it. Oh, I did also before I did also want to mention that I did mention an NPC from the Fateseer campaign in this session, because while the bard was at a clothing store, because he had to get himself some winter clothes, he was sort of asking about like who might have worn their clothing before, and I did mention an NPC from the Fateseer campaign that you haven't met yet, but they are the one that you were traveling to, as they were in Brima's letter.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because I was trying to think of a famous person on the fly, and that was the first name that came to my head.
Nice. Oh, cool. We should get Bremer to where she's supposed to go.
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully hopefully nothing happens to that person, because technically the Fateseer campaign, it was in like the 6th or 7th month of the year, and this campaign is just finishing the 11th month, so
That's a lot of both for a lot of bad stuff to happen to a person.
Yeah, hopefully none of it does. Or those campaigns are just not in the same year or something. Which they don't need to be. I don't know why I made that a thing, because there's like basically no crossover between the two.
I mean, probably because you just hasn't had to, right? Like,
yeah, fair.
Yeah, your world is so jam packed full of stuff. It's like, who cares if you pass like a random other party, right? With like a gnome and like a halfling and like a dwarf and like a half orc. Just be like, oh, it's another background characters, right? Everyone's background characters.
But yeah, that was that session of the Crown of Dragons campaign. Very excited for whatever's gonna happen next. Hopefully I get my new travel tables ready to go. I would love to have them set up and just fill them with like useless stuff. Fill them with more woodcutters.
Apparently you can cut the travel time in half.
Yeah, their next stop is gonna be it's sort of related to some characters' backstory, and there's some situations going on there. I don't know. Again, I feel like I add too many things, too many side quests, but there's another side quest.
Well, it's the fun of it. Go in a random cave and all of a sudden you're fighting a dude that's on fire and you're like, I don't know how I ended up here.
Yeah, Skyrim has very much infected my style of DMing. I wanted to draw roads. One day I'm gonna draw roads, but anyway, I think that might have to be it for this episode.
Yeah, it was good. It's a good episode.
Yeah, really, I love talking about this campaign. Hopefully the players skip the part I told them to skip. I will put the timestamps in so they know, because I don't want them to know about certain things. You know, I don't want them to know certain things yet. But yeah. When we get to those things, the players can totally hear them because they will experience them, and I'll talk about it on here. Or we'll talk about some more other campaigns, or some Lancer campaigns, or some Mutants and Masterminds campaigns. I've been putting a bit more work into that idea I had for Mutants and Masterminds, where like you play as supervillains trying to rob a bank, and I just give you like, here's the bank details, you figure out what you want to do.
Oh, that'd be so fun.
Yeah, maybe I kind of want to stream that, to be honest. Especially because the map is just from this book, so I'm sure we can get away with it. I kind of want to stream that.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty fun. Maybe we'll put that on the board of things that this channel should do.
Yes, the ever-growing board of things we should do. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us. Really appreciate that you do. If you want to, hear more from us, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification button to get notified when we upload new episodes, as well as when we go live. There unfortunately wasn't a stream last week. I just was feeling really tired, and I didn't want to stream tired because then that's not as... I don't want people to hear my tired voice. I don't want to drag people through that, so definitely I will try to squeeze in a couple streams this week. For sure the Friday one, and then maybe Wednesday or Thursday. Probably Wednesday, so I give myself a bit of a break if nothing else comes up. Because I'm also, on another channel on Mondays, so probably Wednesday and Friday I'll do some Skyrim. If I feel up for it, maybe Halo on Thursday. If I feel like doing 3 streams in a row. Which maybe I will, I don't know. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. If you want to know, I'll post it on the Twitter, or you can get a notification on YouTube if you hit the bell. So you will be notified. Other than that, I do want to give a shout out to some people. We did mention Celeste up top and their Lancer RPG NPC guides. We'll post the link for that in the description. Shaka's Field Guide to Infocane. If you want to download that for your Lancer game, you can go check that out on itch.io. And of course, the Untold Stories Project, where I'm there every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern playing some Mutants and Masterminds. My character got a bit embarrassed by something that happened last week, which was fair to me, because 1, I walked into it, and 2, I came into the session late, so I was like, I earned this, I'll take it.
Nice.
But then something really huge happened at the end of that session, And I was like, oh god, like my character didn't even talk because I was in stunned silence. So so was he. So definitely go check that out. They also started a new Mutants and Mastermind show last week. So the VOD of the first episode would probably be out by the time you're hearing this. So definitely go check out their new show. It's in the same campaign world because it's using the Earth Prime setting from Mutants and Masterminds. They're running through the Emerald City Knights campaign for anyone who knows what that is. Very excited to see where that goes. Really looking forward to the inevitable crossover where all the superheroes fight each other. And then...
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
In some sort of unknown war?
Yeah, of course. It's how superheroes work. They punch for a bit and then they're mates. That's just how it goes.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, definitely go check out that channel. I'm a big fan of them. And that's, I think, all the people we got to give shout outs to. We got to find more people to give shout outs to. I want to make this list even longer.
Yeah, it should be like 5 minutes of just, this is all our friends.
Yeah.
Check out this stuff.
So many awesome people we know.
Yeah. They're doing cool stuff.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of USP anyways, we have to do the part 2 of the Suicide Squad stream. I don't know when that's going to happen, but, keep your ear to the ground. But other than that, I think that's going to be it for this episode. Ramon, you have anything you want to say to the people before we head off?
Oh, just hope you guys are doing good. Yeah, but Calvin, you gotta tell them what else to do.
Oh, I will tell them. The most important thing that you all should be doing is to remember to keep on winning with dice. And we will see you next week.
All right, see you guys.